With over 15 years of experience as a cinematographer, I can confidently say that I've spent weeks researching cameras and more money than I'd like to mention buying equipment. In this video, I'm hoping to save you time and money by going over the 5 things to consider when buying a camera for YouTube cooking videos. What's good, everyone? My name is Lemoine and I'm actually a full-time cinematographer, but I love to cook. On this channel, I'm not only posting cooking videos with some of my favorite tried and true recipes, but I also share tips and strategies to help you make your own cooking videos. So if you're interested in great tasting food or that YouTube money, spank that subscribe button. Before I jump into this video, I just wanted to let you know that I put a link in the description to all of the gear I'll be talking about, as well as all the gear that I personally use to make my YouTube cooking videos. So the number one question I'm probably asked is, what camera should I buy? So I created a list of the 5 features or things that you should consider when looking to buy a camera for cooking videos, or YouTube videos in general. Before I dive into the content, I wanted to point out that we live in an age where we feel the need to have the latest and greatest technology. There's a new camera coming out every month, and you might feel the need to have the newest camera possible. Just like the iPhone, each new version isn't really a huge step up from the previous one. A lot of times you can score a used version of the later model camera, which is much less than the latest version brand new. I've bought used cameras in the past and I've always been happy with my purchases. So the next big thing that I want to mention before we get into the content is to not buy camera bundle packs. So you can often find cameras bundled with a bag, an SD card, 3 lenses, and some other kind of things that make it seem like a great deal, but it's not worth it. Sure, if you were to do the math and you were to buy all of these things separately, you're gonna get a good deal. The thing is, everything else besides the camera is pretty much garbage. The lenses are not good at all, and I would never recommend purchasing them. You can't even sell these things online because nobody wants them. And if you don't believe me, you can hop on Craigslist and look up these lenses yourself. They're gonna go for super dirt cheap because they suck, and you can barely even give them away. It's much better to put your money into a camera body only and purchase one amazing lens. When it comes to video production, lenses are the real investment here, because as the years go by and you upgrade your cameras, your lenses will work on all of your new camera bodies as long as you stick with the same brand camera. We'll talk more about lenses in another video. So now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's jump into the 5 things to consider when picking a camera. So number 1 is gonna be budget. The first thing that you need to do is figure out how much you're willing to spend on a camera. If it's under $500, you'll probably be limited to a point-and-shoot style camera with a lens that's fixed or attached to the camera. For around $1,000, you start moving into the DSLR cameras, but that doesn't always include a lens. Most cameras have a kit lens option available though. If your budget is super tight, I'd say get the kit lens, but plan to upgrade. If you can be patient and save a couple $100 more, then I'd say buy the camera and a professional lens. Again, we'll talk lenses in another video. If your budget is $2,000 plus, then it's more than enough money to get an amazing camera for cooking videos. There are way more expensive cameras out there, but I just don't think that they're necessary to make professional looking cooking videos. You can often find great deals on refurbished cameras online too. The cameras are sold directly by their manufacturer and even come with a 1-year warranty. I personally use a $800 Sony a6400. I've used this camera to film projects that I was paid over 5 figures to produce. The cost of the camera doesn't matter if you don't know how to use it. The next feature you'll want to consider is finding a camera with a flip-out screen. A flip-out screen is super useful to have on your camera because you're able to see yourself while filming to make sure that you're framed how you'd like and that you're in focus. If your camera doesn't have a flip-out screen, you either have to guess or hope that everything's good and in focus, or spend some money to buy an external monitor, which can be a bit pricey. One tip I'd give you though is to not look at your screen while you're talking. Just use it to make sure that your shot is how you like it, and you want to make sure that you're looking into the lens so that way it's like you're making eye contact with the viewers. Another thing to consider when buying a camera is going to be the resolution and frame rate options. So the current standard for video quality or resolution currently is 1080p HD, but 4K Ultra HD is quickly becoming more common, and I think it's going to become the new standard if it isn't already. There are cameras out there that even offer 6K and 8K resolution recording. The reality of it is though, people are consuming most of their video content on a tiny phone, and it's a bit overkill investing in higher resolution cameras for cooking videos. I personally think that 1080 is all you really need to look for when buying a camera, but getting something that shoots 4K will save you from wanting to upgrade in the future. A camera that can shoot a high frame rate is great if you plan to do any slow motion shots. You'll want a camera that can shoot at least 60 frames per second. The camera that I have can shoot up to 120 frames per second. The higher the frame rate, the slower and smoother the footage will look. So here's an example of footage shot at regular speed. And now here is the same footage at 60 frames per second and slowed down. And here's that same shot one more time at 120 frames per second, slowed down. So the next thing that you could possibly consider when purchasing a camera is going to be the size of your sensor. The sensor is the part of the camera that converts all of the light that you let into it into the images that you see. A bigger sensor has larger pixels, which offers less compression to your footage. A larger sensor will give you better image quality. For example, even though an iPhone can shoot 4K video, footage is going to look better from a camera because it has a much larger sensor. Here are some of the most common camera sensor sizes. There's a lot of things that a camera's sensor size can affect, like lens focal length, lens options, low light performance, and depth of field, or how blurry the background is. I'm not an expert on this, and there's a lot of other videos on YouTube that can explain the sensor way better than I can, and I'll be sure to put a link in the description below to one of them. All of the cameras that I use have the smaller APS-C sensor. You'll see a lot of people saying that this sensor is terrible for low light. I personally light all of my shoots, so it's not an issue for me. If you want to learn more about lighting, check out my other videos dealing with lighting and how to light your YouTube cooking videos. The link is going to be in the description. Another feature to consider is looking for a camera that offers autofocus. Autofocus is an amazing feature to have, and I use it often when I'm filming and having to track other people that are moving around. It also comes in handy when filming yourself and talking to the camera for your content. But those are the only times that I use it, and I found autofocus doesn't do great when filming actual cooking because it'll often hunt to focus when you're doing things like cutting ingredients or mixing things in a bowl or a pot. A lot of times steam coming up from the pan can throw the focus off as well too. It could, however, just be my Sony camera, and I have heard that Canon cameras have amazing autofocus. I personally shoot all of my cooking with manual focus. And the fifth and final feature that I would recommend looking for when buying a camera is going to be finding one that has an audio jack input. Having this will give you the ability to plug a microphone into your camera and capture professional sounding audio. I personally think that audio is almost more important than epic looking footage. One of the quickest ways to come off amateur, lose a viewer's interest, and have them possibly X out of your video is to have bad audio. If the camera you're interested in or currently own doesn't have a microphone jack, there are still ways to capture professional sounding audio. I have an entire video breaking down audio and the two kinds of microphones I'd recommend investing in. I'll put a link to this video in the description below. So there it is, people, the 5 things I would recommend considering when you're on the hunt for a camera. A few bonus things to look out for would be the size of the camera, the lens options, and the battery life. Remember that you don't have to have the best equipment before you start making content. Just start. Start with what you have, and you can always upgrade later. If you have absolutely no budget for a camera right now, I'd say just start with your phone. I have a whole entire video series coming out on how to make professional YouTube cooking videos using your camera phone. Make sure you subscribe to catch that when it drops, or I'll put a link in the description once it's ready. If you'd like to dive deeper into how I produce my cooking videos and how you could do it with your phone, make sure you check out my full in-depth video cooking course. I'll be sure to put a link in the description once that's ready as well. One last thing I'd like to point out is that it's not about how fancy or expensive your gear is. There are affordable options out there that can get the job done. A $5,000 camera and expensive audio gear won't get you more views. Like I said earlier, it's all about the content and value that you provide to the viewer. With that being said, I hope that you found value in this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like, and also check out my Facebook group, YouTube Cooking Creators. I'll put a link in the description. We're a community of YouTube cooks sharing our experience with hopes to grow our channels and make income with our cooking videos. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'd love to share all the information and knowledge that I have to help you make better videos and grow your channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have a ton of other videos up and in the works to help you create better YouTube cooking content, along with more great tasting recipe videos. So if you want to catch them when they drop, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Aloha.